Hello everyone, this is Tim, and this video I want to talk about stats and how they affect role-playing and your fun at the table. There's been a few videos out about 3d6 roll straight down, and just to start off the video, I am more of a proponent of that than not. I fully believe that every group should do what they like. If you like point buy, if you like 3d6 roll straight down, if you like 46, drop the lowest, etc. In my role-playing worldview, every group is unique, and no matter what we say on YouTube, you really need to take it with a grain of salt, apply it to your own group, and see what sticks, see what they like. But when it comes to stats and role-playing, I've been talking to Andrew a little bit, and he's of the view that let's say that you have a low int, lower wisdom, that these should greatly affect your role playing. And that's a perfectly legitimate view. You can look at your stats, try to come up with a real world component for them, and that's what you try to portray when you role play that character. If you have a really low intelligence, try to think of someone who has a really low intelligence in real life and role play that to the best of your ability. That's not the only way to look at it, though. The way, let's say older generation gamers tend to look at things like that, is that stats are more of a guideline. They're not shackles. You're not handcuffed like this. You don't have to do, how can I rephrase this? There isn't just one way to go about role-playing those stats. There's something about player ability versus the character's ability. And there's a couple different ways to look at this. You can take the more modern, Andrew approach, where you look at your stats and they dictate what you should role-play or how you should role-play, at least to a certain degree. I will look at them, and to the same idea, I will look at the stats and think, okay, what kind of character would these be? And then I decide if that would be fun to roleplay. You don't have to limit your player ability because of your stat abilities. That's a perfectly, legitimate way to do it, but you don't have to do it that way. In more old school games, for instance, they seem to emphasize more player ability. It's you at the table, role-playing your character. But if something is limiting your fun, then you don't have to do it that way. I'm trying to think how else to explain this. It's just that, if something's limiting fun, you should get rid of it, or you should do it in a different way. I can have a lot of fun role-playing a dumb character, or role-playing a character that doesn't have a lot of common sense, or is clumsy. I tend to like characters with flaws. I like flaws, so I try to incorporate those in there. But, if your character has a 4 intelligence, and we can debate about what that means in various systems, and, systems with skills or systems without skills, because those things do tend to make a difference. More modern games seem to emphasize higher stats, and they would even put forth that lower stats are unplayable. Whereas older games, that's not the case at all. You can roleplay with completely average stats or average to low stats and be fine if you survive the lower levels, of course. It's just tough. It's just, I don't see them as making you do something a certain way. Just like anything else in role-playing, there's different camps for how to do things, and I'm not in the business of telling people one way is the right way and one way is not the right way. Even in things that I personally hold to dearly, I don't go around telling other people, you are doing some bad, wrong fun right now by doing it that way. That's terrible. You should be dragged out in the street and shot because you do it that way. I don't do that. At least I really try not to. I'm sure some of my videos, maybe I cross that line a little bit. But I really try to stay away from the very divisive topics. people have sort of nicknamed me as the like ambassador or I don't know, nice guy of RPGs, and I don't know, diplomat, that sort of stuff. I try to get along with everyone. I mean, just as a, I don't know, just a personal aside, I had a bachelor party and I invited all of my various acquaintances and friends to come hang out, and 3 groups or so left because they couldn't stand the other people that I had invited. Just because I try to get along with just about everybody. You know, if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you, and most of the time I'm nice to people before they even try to be nice to me. That's just how I am. I like to try to help people out if I can. So that kind of mindset, I guess, goes with me when I'm talking about this. No matter what character generation or random dice rolling you do for character generation, there's all those different methods for a reason. People have different interests, different likes, they like to do things different ways, and I don't see anything wrong with that. What I do see something wrong with is when people point a finger and say, you know what, your way is terrible, or it's you're an idiot for liking that, or I don't know. It's just not my way of doing things. I'm still friends with people that I completely disagree with in real life and on these videos here with the various other YouTube posters. I sometimes wish we got along better, but for the most part, we don't do too bad. As far as community goes, I think we stand pretty head and shoulders above the rest as far as getting along with each other. Sometimes the comments get kind of nasty at times in certain videos. I've actually been pretty lucky as far as that goes. There's been a few posters that have left some stuff that I kind of like scratch my head and like, okay, didn't mean to offend you, but I guess that happens no matter what opinions you have. So in my mind, stats are a guideline. They're not shackles. They don't suggest one certain way. There is room for interpretation as far as what they actually mean, and those interpretations do vary from editions, if you're talking about D&D, and even across different RPG lines. Not all games have those 6 stats, and some of them have 8 or 10 or even higher. Some of them have 3 or 4. So when you say these sorts of things, you have to take that into account. There's all kinds of different RPGs out there. There's different editions. People play differently. There's different play styles from one edition to another. There's different expectations in certain things. And there seems to be, in my mind, just a certain trend of characters starting out like right off the bat being extra powerful, able to take on the world at first level. And in older games, that's not the case. In older games, there was more of the heroic journey, heroic quest, where you start out like Luke Skywalker on Tatooine, and you're just a moisture farmer, and you don't have that 18 dex, or you're not real smart. You have to go to college yet. So you have humble beginnings, and throughout your career, as you acquire knowledge, acquire experience, I would imagine that those stats do change. Even though, like, let's say in older editions of D&D, there's no mechanic for stats to improve other than like magic items. My friend Aaron or Zerk83 would point out that things that happen in the world can affect your character. Like, let's say you bump into a nymph or a wood goddess, and for some reason you guys get along really well. She doesn't eat you to death, or doesn't put her tree's roots into you, and doesn't kill you, and somehow you manage to get out of that without dying, and she takes favor on you. Maybe she blesses you, and when your stats goes up. I do have a tendency to do that in my Darb's Hill game. I'll give out little bonuses or artifacts or items that change things. So I got a message upstairs. But anyway, what I'm trying to get at is that there's different ways of doing things. There's different methods. Different games are different. But I am a proponent of random dice rolls. I like to roll them out and see what the stats suggest to me is the character. I like having a challenge, and for me that is a challenge. See, let's say that I have like a really high strength and, I don't know, like a really high charisma. So I'm strong and charismatic. And those kind of things happen a lot of times with random dice rolls, especially when you go down the line. You'll have some interesting combinations that, especially as modern gamers, we're not used to. Like, because it's straight down, there's no dump stat. And I tend to hate dump stats. I don't agree with them. And as a GM, I tend to use the gamut of stats just to show people that there are no dump stats. Like, okay, well, how about you roll under charisma? Oh, well, I don't, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, you're in a social situation, and you're trying to convince this person, and, that's what you need to do. So I think people that play my games after a while tend to notice that I do sort of spread the rules around at times, and I'll ask them to roll things that they're not used to doing. But, in 36 roll straight down, there's no... You get what you get, and then you try to use your creativity and your imagination to decide what kind of person that looks like, what they would be like. But again, these are just guidelines. Take what they give to you, come up with a character concept, and run with it, and have a lot of fun doing it. It's really the name of the game. I really enjoy sitting down at the table and having... I'm more fun than serious. That's my preferred, number one style. I can play in games that are more serious, more in character the entire time. It's just a little bit different, and I enjoy that too. Like, for instance, right now I'm I'm playing in two groups on Skype. One, I'm playing in an OSR group with Bolt Orange, Chris, Azurk 83, Aaron, Critical Fumble, which is Jim. There's Rich, which I don't think he has a YouTube thing, and a few others. And that group is more of a fun first, more table talk, but we all get along, and we're all GMs too, so I think that helps out a lot. It's one of the most fun groups I've ever played in, and that is an old school group. So it goes to show you that there is role playing. But we would also don't take it also serious, and that's just one way of doing it. And then I'm playing in another group that is more stay in character, focused on the story. And that's A Song of Ice and Fire is what we're running, and that's Zig Copacetic, Eunice or Hammered Shitsteak, Rajab 1, which is Rohir, and I think that's it. So that just goes to show you that I can play two different styles completely and still enjoy them both. Song of Ice and Fire is, it's a generation rather than dice rolls. And my OSR game is 3d6 roll straight down. So even if I do prefer 3d6 straight down, that obviously doesn't work in A Song of Ice and Fire, because it's just a different style of game, different type of game. And I'm playing in two different types of groups. And I enjoyed both of them. I had a blast this last Saturday playing both of them. But even in both of these games, the stats themselves are there for your interpretation. Not some, my way or the highway, one way or, no way. They're there for you as a player to look at. Whatever they suggest to you and however they flavor your role playing is how they do it. There's no right or wrong, in my opinion, way of doing that. They're there as a guideline, not to shackle you to one way and one way only. I think that's pretty much what I want to say. If you have any disagreements or different opinions, I'm sure there are. Yeah, if you're more of the, look at the stats and then that implies that you have to do something a certain way, that's one way of doing it, and that's fine. If you have fun doing that, that's fine. But I'm here to just tell you that that's not the only way to do it. It really comes down to you as the player, what you think is fun, and what kind of character you can use your imagination to come up with. What kind of character you can basically just bring to life at the table. hope this made sense. It's a little bit early. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night. And I'm pretty sure Wes is going to wake up soon and demand that I take care of him today. So, all right, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys around whenever I can. Thanks.